All right, greetings. Welcome back to Blackbird News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? Good to see you all. Thank you for hanging out. I know I'm starting a little bit later again. My apologies. At least I don't play like a 20-minute, 30-minute musical intro before I come on the show. There are a couple of people that do. Like, if there's one criticism I have of Jimmy Dore, oh, sorry. I can't stand that goddamn 20-minute intro or 30-minute intro that they play, where it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on, and they're playing like music, and then they play this really long, like 5-minute intro clip. It's just like, oh god, just do the show. So at least my intro is like 15 seconds. So there you go. Anyways, it's my only one of my only criticisms of Jimmy Dore. Anyways, how y'all doing? Thanks for hanging out with me. We're live on Rockfin. We're live on YouTube. Denver posts a link in Rockfin. Trump calls to defund the police after his own arrest. Okay. I mean, it's a ridiculous comedy show, isn't it? Each side of the aisle wants I don't know, wants leniency and fairness when it comes to their people, and when it comes to the other guys, lock them up, throw away the book. They're guilty until proven innocent, stuff like that. It's just it's a funny show. It's a comedy show. Y'all getting tornadoes in Canada, Amanda? Wow. Creative Experiment says climate denial ramping up hard on financial YouTube channels. Economy depends on the climate. I don't know. Yeah, I think, climate denial is a bipartisan thing. However, we're going to get into a little. Poppy sent me a couple things I thought were interesting to talk about. But one thing I saw was Sam Carana, whoever Sam Carana is, talking about institutionalizing climate deniers. Okay. We'll talk about that a little bit. I don't even. Well, I have a lot to say about it. I don't even know where to start. But first of all, I'll start here. Welcome everybody. And a good way to support the channel is at buymeacoffee.com/blackbearnews. You can buy me some coffees. And if you leave me a message during the show, I'll read it at the end of the show. Or Rockfin tips, greatly appreciated. Super chats, greatly appreciated. Venmo and Cash App. I think, is it Gene that sent me a Cash App? Yeah, I apologize for missing this. Someone sent me a Cash App. Here we go. Oh, Juliet Nichols sent me a Cash App. Thank you, Juliet Nichols. I appreciate it. All right. Greater LA has 18 plus million people. Yeah. I mean, LA is like New York, which is a what is it? Not a megalopoly. Megalopolis. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry. Can't think today. Something like that. So it's like not just one big city, it's several big cities all connected together. And it's just this big long mass of humanity. The entire northeast from Boston to DC is a megalopolis, and the entire Southern California from you could say Santa Barbara to San Diego is a megalopolis. Yeah, overshoot. Let's talk about it. Da, da. Let's talk about it as if we were Peter Griffin or Homer Simpson. Da. What's overshoot? Houston, yes, Poppy Davis. That's another one. You could say, I mean, there's space between San Antonio and Houston. Well, yeah, Austin all the way through the bottom of San Antonio. That's a big megalopolis. Houston is just, yeah, massive. From Baytown to Katy, right? It's on the east side. It's huge. Anyway, so Poppy sent me this, and let's get into it. A couple of interesting things to talk about. One from Sam Carana. I haven't covered anything from Sam Carana in a while. Dallas Fort Worth, yes. Yeah, exactly. Including Arlington and everything in between, right? And you could probably include Denton in there too, to the north. So from Denton to the north, I don't know how far south it would go. Waco? Am I wrong in saying Waco? From Denton to Waco, from Fort Worth to whatever's on the other side of Dallas. I don't know. Let's. So first thing I want to see or look at here was something from Professor. Isn't that? I guess that's his name. Isn't Steve Austin the Bionic Man? Was that his name? Am I wrong? I want to say Steve Austin was a Bionic Man. Anyways, from Steve Austin. Contraction and convergence is an appropriate ethical principle for building an escape plan. Escape from overshoot. I guess this is from a book. Something that requires escape from overshoot is a book that I tried to look at a little bit today, but have to buy it. So I have not bought it yet. But there, it lays out some things, 14 propositions for planning an escape from overshoot. It's an interesting list. One, there's compelling evidence that humanity is living in an era of global overshoot. Compelling evidence, yes, there is. A reduction in the physical scale of the human enterprise is essential to escape from overshoot. Oh, that sounds anti-human, doesn't it? That's anti-human. 3, the historical and current causes and consequences of overshoot are extremely unequal within and among countries. Okay. 4, limits on material and energy throughput and land transformation are critical to an escape from overshoot. Okay. Yeah. Limits on material and energy throughput. Contraction and convergence is an appropriate ethical principle for building an escape plan. Yeah, and so it's just not. It's not that wild of an idea. Contraction or limiting, limiting what humans can do to the planet. Because that's really what it is. What humans are doing to the planet. It's not a wild idea, as if we are any different from any other species on the planet, right? If you had a population, humans often control wild populations of animals because they're impinging on their activities. Right? We don't like wolves or boars or even deer that might be eating things that we don't want them to eat. And maybe if the population is too big, we're like, you know what, we need to. Yes, that's right, Andre, culling. And that's what. And the thing is I'm not talking about culling humans, and I don't think anybody else is too. I think it's just, to even like suggest that we might be overstepping an ecological boundary is like, oh my God, is a wild-eyed, crazy talk. It's not crazy at all. Yes, Amanda, like any other species, we are an uncontrollable, invasive species. We are uncontrollable, and we are definitely invasive because we go anywhere we want. We build anything we want. We do anything we want. We extract anything we want. We use anything we want. We consume anything we want. We build anything we want. We do whatever we want. Until a force greater than us tells us that we can't. And that's just, that's outside of the realm of your beliefs. If you just believe that, humans aren't doing anything to the planet, okay. But it's just, it's not a wild idea. That there might be too many of us. It's not a wild idea. It happens all the time in nature. There are too many, fill in the blank. And what happens in that scenario is nature does a balancing act. Balance, rebalance. That's what nature does. Yeah, let's keep reading. A planned escape from overshoot requires a common sense of purpose. Common sense of purpose. That is a great phrase. A common sense of purpose. I love that. I love the double meaning in that, right? A common sense of purpose and also some common sense, such as has been seen in times of war and pandemics. A common sense of purpose should be founded on principles of justice. Otherwise, the escape plan will be compromised by people and institutions seeking their own self-interest rather than working towards shared objectives. These principles of justice should encompass non-human life as well as human. That is really just an exceptional way to describe it. Because I'm going to talk about Sam Carana, proposes that we do something too. But the very first thing on his list is not a shared. The very first thing on his list is divisive and controlling and authoritarian and punishing. The second thing on his list is punishing too, but I'm not, not in that second thing I'm not as against as the first thing, but still punishment, controlling instead of a shared sense of purpose. Principles of justice. A common sense of purpose is more likely to emerge from forms of democracy that combine representation and participation, and which are based on the principle of subsidiarity. that social, political, and environmental issues are best dealt with at the most immediate level consistent with their resolution. Reductions in population should be welcomed, planned for, and encouraged through increased measures such as accessibility to education, especially for girls, increased availability of contraception, provision of a basic income and wealth, and better support for the elderly. I have no issues with that. I have no issues with that, and nowhere in that paragraph did they say culling or who are you going to kill first. Nobody said anything about that. Um, 10. Finance should facilitate the escape from overshoot rather than to exacerbate it. To this end, money creation by commercial banks should be curtailed. The financialization of nature and the implication that exists solely to serve human interests should be halted and reversed. That is key as well. The financialization of nature. Which is what the anti-human, the Malthusian eugenicist crowd, or the ones that are worried about Malthusianism and eugenicism, that they're always crying Malthusianism. That crowd, can't understand, like, oh my God, you just can't take anything you want. You can't just dig up and suck up anything you want and turn around and sell it for a couple of bucks or quarters or whatever. What? You can't do that? That's anti-human. I mean, that's literally like the way that they're like, you're what? We can't get anything we want at any time point of the given day, all the time, 24 hours a day. We can't just get anything we want whenever we want it. That's anti-human. No, that's like, what? It's called, come on. Some limits to your experience are probably, better for you than worse. Neil Spackman, I'm not familiar with Neil Spackman. Let's keep going. 10, technology does not exist in isolation. What? It is embodied in materials and requires energy for its production and use. What? Technologies often have unintended consequences, which can be positive and negative. Whether and how technology contributes to the escape from overshoot depends on who owns it and what they seek to obtain from that ownership. Wow. I mean, this is all very well thought out. Knowledge and ideas should be shared as much as possible, given that they are non-rival. Exclusion of potential users through intellectual property rights should be discouraged, especially where it impedes the flow of information, products, and services to low-income countries, as happened, for example, during the COVID-19 pandemic. Wow, you mean we shouldn't limit people's access to information or ability to speak, their First Amendment rights, or access to other technologies that could be helpful to them? Really? "13. Capitalism presents serious obstacles to an escape from overshoot. It serves the interest of the owners of capital, who, through increasingly powerful corporations, are constantly looking for ways to extend their reach, increasing overshoot, and only incidentally serving the interests of other members of society. Experience with socialism has a mixed record in relation to overshoot, having focused on growth almost as much as capitalism, and it has shown the shortcomings of central planning." Interesting. So that, not super fans of socialism. But going back to number 8, a common sense of purpose is more likely to emerge from forms of democracy. Right? And I think number 7 is included in there too. Common sense of purpose. 6 and 7. Which is that, it's not that hard to get people together to work on something if they all understand it's a problem. if they're given correct information. If people are allowed to talk about, debate freely, access information, and not being propagandized, having the time, the education, the money, and the wherewithal to actually access this information, and you know what I mean, to have the time and energy and ability to educate themselves on these things. Anyways, there's a lot to break down in here. And I don't know that I have the time in this short show to break it all down. But I mean, this is a good, solid list, and the way that it is laid out, I think, is, logical, inclusive, right? Allowing people to have a sense of community through whatever the answer is to this problem. Overshoot will transform economic and political systems. It is better to choose the transformations we want rather than having them forced upon us by circumstances beyond our control. Perfect. Perfect way to end it. Excuse me. And this is something that, yeah, I saw that, Poppy. I don't know that I'm going to click, to register on April 12th. Oh, okay. So he's doing a free book launch. Is this online or no? This is in Toronto, Canada, but I think maybe you can watch it over online. I don't know. Y'all want this link? Well, oh geez, that link is crazy. Sorry about that. I don't know why that link is so crazy. You know what? Here, let's try this again. I think that was kind of insane. Let's do this here. It's a better way. Here we go. All right, this is the abbreviated link, and that one should work for you. Excuse me. I'll put that on Rockfin too. Oops. Sorry, guys. I know that people feel very misled and what the heck is going on? I know that people feel very misled about what happened with COVID, and rightly so. But what you can see, though, if there are several takeaways from the COVID experience, I think, that were both positive and negative, right? Every experience has that within it. A lesson, if you will, a positive and negative, ups and downs of it. And you can take what you want from it. But the powers that be in the media were very influential in getting people to agree to, these measures to combat what they thought was an actual, global problem, a deadly global pandemic that was, going to wipe everything out, and right. And everybody, people were on board because they were the information that they were given and the way in which they were given the information led people to believe that if we all agree to do these things, that we will get through this, right? Or we will. These will be things that will help the situation, help us get through the situation, right? Yeah. That is the power of media, right? But as long as those powers are being used for good. So there isn't, it wouldn't be that hard. It's hard now because there's so many fractured political ideologies out there, and silos, and red team and blue team, and in between team, and the right. But it wouldn't, if somebody who didn't have a financial interest in giving you information in order to get a certain reaction out of you, if somebody who only, who had a more altruistic mission in mind, which could be something like saving the planet, or not, saving the planet sounds ridiculous. Stopping the destruction of the planet, wholesale destruction of the planet. If somebody was like, hey, look, these are serious issues, and we don't think any gain from this. In fact, all the correct answers along the way in fixing this issue don't have gain involved. There's actually there can't be a profit motive, because if there's a profit motive, it will absolutely destroy the intention and the mission in itself, right? So nobody is seeking any profit from this, or power, or more power. We're seeking none of those things. We're seeking, just clear-headed answers, and we would like to communicate that with the people at large, and, we can all come together on an agreement on the best way forward. It wouldn't be that hard, and it wouldn't be that weird, and it wouldn't be that crazy, and it wouldn't, having conversations about overpopulation or overshoot or overuse of resources wouldn't be Malthusianisms or eugenics. It wouldn't be that. It would just be like, hey man, we're really polluting the planet, like beyond just dumping vinyl chloride into rivers. We're really polluting the planet, and we've been doing it for a really long time. Do you think this could possibly continue to go on without serious implications? Put plainly like that, I think most people would go, yeah, you got a point there. It wouldn't be that hard. The problem is all the people, with the puppet strings that need to make it about profit and power and motives are messing it up. And causing people to be in a place where they don't trust any of the messages coming from the people at the top with the puppet strings and the motives of the profit and the power. That's an issue. That's a big issue. So you're gonna have to square that circle. But let's jump over to this other post that Poppy sent me from Sam Carana, and I had to just stop at number 1. I mean, I haven't really covered anything from Sam Carana in a while, for various reasons, but I've been reading his stuff for a long time, and it's a climate emergency. What do? We need, first he was like, we need carbon credits and stuff. And I was like, all right, okay. Or a military style answer to the problem. Okay, well, okay. Anything beyond that? But so this is not helpful. This is not helpful. His very first proposition is institutionalizing climate deniers until rehabilitated. Dude, what are you high on your own supply? And I had to reply to him. Like, if you want to alienate people immediately, going back to the list I just read, it was about people, having a sense of shared purpose and justice, right? If you're like, I'm going to point my finger at people, people that are in my way of my agenda and institutionalize them, you are lost in the sauce. You are way out of touch with how people are feeling right now. The people of this planet are feeling very, very skeptical of anything the people in power have to say to them right now. So when you begin your list with criminalizing people who don't believe the scientific theory that you're putting forward, or the science that you believe is true and correct, instead of explaining it better, instead of going after the people that are propagandizing the people, right, to the point where they don't believe anything they have to say anymore, you're going to go after the people that don't believe the thing you want. I mean, it's astoundingly tone deaf. It does sound like a mandate. I just, and that's really the only thing I wanted to say about this is just how I don't know how you start your list with this. Then he goes on to say, hold politicians accountable for ecocide, omnicide, and crimes against. Okay, I'm more with that, because they know what they're doing is bad, and they're doing it anyways for profit and power. I'm trying to get there to the flow chart. And so I'm a little more. This is a little more like punching up, which I, agree with. Local implementation of action on climate change, with local people's courts ensuring that implementation is based on the best available scientific analysis to avoid control by politicians who get bought by looters and polluters. Well, yeah. And so that sounds a little better to me. But I don't know. And mandate, Basil was just saying it sounds like a mandate. And he literally says mandate in this thing here. Mandate a rapid return to pre-industrial temperatures, mandate a rapid transition to clean renewable energy, mandate. Sure. But this sounds a little, like, how do we get there from here? Which I've always had an issue with when he says, we're in a climate emergency and we got to do this. It's always like, I don't know how you get there from here. You just said this has got to happen. Oh, okay. The word mandate has lost its meaning, and if it's not a mandate of the people, then those mandates will never be adhered to, or understood, or accepted, or supported. Nobody will support, understand, or accept those mandates unless it's something that they agree to on their own accord, because they know and they understand this is a serious issue. So I don't know how you get there. So this is okay. I'm just giving for climate communicators and climate scientists and climate people out there, I'm giving you can't think of the word right now. I'm A-being it for you, right? I'm giving you a comparison and contrast, how to make a list of action items and make it appealing to people, and make people feel included in the all the actions, and how to just turn people off immediately, right? Sam Carana doing the latter. Climate plan decision flow chart. What's best for climate, A or B? This all seems very. It's missing a lot of information, though, Honestly, it still is like, how do we, what are the nuts and bolts of this? How this all works, and how do we get there from here? And I don't know. Anyways, I just wanted to show you that. Oh, here's a little more. Sorry. My bad. Looks a little more detailed. He's still talking about, this is the other thing I have an issue with, is he's talking about taxing, fees from things that we're doing going to, it's like a big carbon credit thing. He's into Peter Victor's book covers how. Okay. I mean, I from the list, I believe he probably has a pretty logical handle on it. Yeah, he's, again, this looks like a carbon credit kind of thing. We're going to tax these people over here to pay for this thing over here. And it's just like, that's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. I mean, he's literally talking about carbon credits, which is like he or she. I don't know. Sam Cran has a pseudonym. Excuse me. And there's lots of theories on who Sam Cran is. It could be a woman or a man. Anyways, just want to cover that, and we'll keep going. We've got a couple more things to cover in the show. Roger Hallam, thread on, more Earth destruction, deep sea mining. He says once lost biodiversity will be impossible to restore. What you mean, like when you murder someone, they don't come back? Right. If you murder the planet, or if you destroy the planet, to such a degree that things don't work the way they're supposed to work anymore, then, there's not a lot of coming back from that. There's a point at which it gets real hard to fix. I mean, and a lot of people think we're already at that point where you can't. There's no fixing. So, but let's say we have some time to, we're just hypothetically, let's say we have some time to fix. There is a point at which you destroy the planet that you can't. There's no bringing it back. And he's talking about deep sea mining. Deep sea mining for rare metals will destroy ecosystems. Yeah. No doubt. Businesses want to trawl for nickel, manganese, and cobalt to build electric cars and wind farms. An investigation by conservationists has found evidence that deep seabed mining of rare minerals could cause extensive and irreversible damage to the planet. And this is an example of, the people that have a profit motive and a power motive telling you that this is what we need to do in order to save the planet, right? This is them trying to give you an answer, but there is a motive behind it, and that motive is not actually, it doesn't have the intention of saving the planet in it. It has the motive of digging up more things so that we can consume more things. Motive, that's what it has. So this is a false option. The ocean plays a critical role in the basic functioning of our planet and protecting its delicate ecosystem. I mean, you know, more stoptivism, please. More calls for just why don't we not do this? How about we don't build those things? How about we don't, you know, get in a massive, you know, redefining or reinstallation of our infrastructure? Let's not. How about don't do that? Don't do it. Because we've already done enough. Anyways. But, you know, very good point there for Roger Hallam. From Aaron K. by way of Fenrir. Europe could see a repeat of last summer's severe droughts, scientists warn. Sorry. No longer matters for, and remember the graph I showed yesterday of the global ocean heat content or temperature? Way off the charts, way above record-setting ocean temperatures, global ocean temperatures right now in 2023. It no longer matters for European rainfall if it is La Nina or El Nino because Earth's precession and rotational velocity have changed, permanently moving rainfall elsewhere. Will get worse as more of Greenland's ice sheet melts and more mass moves to the ocean. But let's look at this. Europe could see a repeat of last summer's droughts. Scarce snow in the Alps, warm temperatures, and widespread lack of rain have scientists worried about a second summer of widespread drought. The European Drought Observatory warned conditions in late winter were similar to those last year, when extreme drought affected areas all over the continent in summer months. Last summer saw dry weather shrivel rivers in Germany, fuel vicious wildfires in Spain, deplete Italian hydropower reservoirs, and wither crops in France. After a terrible snow season in the Alps this winter, which saw resorts close and snow machines go into overdrive, the European Union's drought body has said that there is now a high risk of water shortages this spring. The dry weather was not confined to just the mountains, but pervaded much of the continent this winter, with signs of drought already creeping into parts of France, Spain, and northern Italy, according to the European Drought Observatory. Some parts of Europe haven't really fully recovered from last year's drought, and re-entering or continuing with such conditions can amplify the impacts and have a cascading effect, warned Andrea Toretti, a senior scientist at the EDO who compiles the drought data. The worst fear for me is that we're going to experience another severe to extreme drought, such as the one of last year, or even worse, that could affect again most of Europe. Spring is forecast to be warmer than average over Europe, meaning proper water use plans are required to deal with the season that currently has a high risk of being critical for water resources. The UK government and water companies are under ongoing fire from opposition MPs and campaigners to clean up the country's filthy waterways polluted by plastics, farming, and chemicals, and plug widespread leaks. Last week, France's President Emmanuel Macron launched a broad plan to save water resources. Resources are growing increasingly scarce because of climate change, making farming more difficult, drying lakes, and leaving some households household taps running dry. A wildfire that burned for several days in Spain last month was unusually long and early in the year. Excuse me. The amount of water frozen in the snowy Alps is now even lower than this time last year, the EDO said, meaning a severe drop in water that will flow into nearby rivers when the snow melts. In fact, the snow conditions this year are the worst since 2011 in Italy and since 1998 in Switzerland. Okay, so just goes on and on telling you how bad it is. It's pretty bad. Basil, you dug up a raised bed today and it was full of earthworms. The robins were lurking. Yeah, I've got a good batch of earthworms in my compost piles. Happy little earthworms. Let's see. I think I might have one more. From Doomer Girl News. Traditionally, it's also been considered a natural barrier that prevents the spread of pollutants. A new study that at the history of industrial contamination in the Arctic permafrost. Many of us picture the Arctic as largely untouched wilderness, but that has long since ceased to be true for all excuse me, of the continent. It is also home to oil fields and pipelines, mines, and various other industrial activities. The corresponding facilities were built on a foundation once considered to be particularly stable and reliable. I think they mean this continent, by the way. Permafrost, this unique type of soil which can be found in large expanses in the northern hemisphere, only thaws at the surface in summer. The remainder, extending up to hundreds of meters down, remains frozen year-round, hence the name permafrost. Accordingly, permafrost has not only been viewed as a solid platform for buildings and infrastructure. Traditionally, it has also been considered a natural barrier that prevents the spread of pollutants, explains Moritz Langer from the Alfred Wegener Institute. Consequently, industrial waste from defunct or active facilities was often simply left on site instead of investing the considerable effort and expense needed to remove it. Well, why would you do that if you could just throw it on the ground? Right? That's what we do. We just throw it on the ground. Oh, what? We have to clean that up? Oh, are you sure? What if I don't want to? Are you going to make me clean it up? I don't know. Maybe I'll fight you in court. Sorry. As a result of industrial expansion during the Cold War over the decades, this led to micro dumps full of toxic sludge from oil and gas exploration, stockpiles of mining debris, abandoned military installations, and lakes in which pollutants were intentionally poured. Yay, humans. In many cases, we did great. And we're doing so much better, I think. No, I don't know. Are we? In many cases, the assumption was that the permafrost would reliably and permanently seal off these toxic substances, which meant that there was no need for costly disposal efforts. No need. It's fine. Just leave it on the ice. Or the permafrost. No, nobody will be the wiser, said Guido Gross. Guido Gross. It's a great name. Who heads the AWI's permafrost research section. Today, this industrial legacy still lies buried in the permafrost or on its surface. The substances involved range from toxic diesel fuel to heavy metals and even radioactive waste. What? But as climate change progresses, the sleeping giant could soon become an acute threat. The permafrost regions are warming between twice as fast and 4 times as fast as the rest of the world. The frozen soil is increasingly thawing. When this happens, it changes the hydrology of the region in question, and the permafrost no longer provides an effective barrier. As a result, Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Contaminants that have accumulated in the Arctic over decades can be released, spreading across larger regions. In addition, thawing permafrost becomes more and more unstable, which can lead to further contamination. When the ground collapses, it can damage pipelines, chemical stockpiles, and depots. Just how real this risk already is can be seen in the major incident from May 2020 near the industrial city of Norilsk. We covered this in northern Siberia, where a destabilized storage tank released 17,000 metric tons of diesel, which polluted the surrounding rivers, lakes, and tundra. Great. According to Langer, incidents like this could easily become more frequent in the future, especially if you keep building stuff and doing stuff in the Arctic. Right? In order to more accurately assess such risks, he and an international team of experts in Germany, the Netherlands, and Norway took a closer look at industrial activities in the high north. Got to study it. To do so, they first analyzed freely available data from the portal OpenStreetMap and from the Atlas of Population, Society, and Economy in the Arctic. According to these sources, the Arctic permafrost region contains 4,500 industrial sites that either store or use potentially hazardous substances. This alone didn't tell us what type of facilities they are or were or how badly they could potentially pollute the environment, says Langer. More detailed information on contaminated sites is currently only available for North America, where roughly 40% of the global permafrost lies. The data from Canada and Alaska showed us that using the location and type of facility, it should be possible to accurately estimate where hazardous substances were most likely to be found. There's no comparable databases for Siberia's extensive permafrost regions. Using computer models, the team calculated the occurrence of contaminated sites for the Arctic as a whole. According to the results, the 4,500 industrial facilities in the permafrost regions have most likely produced between 13,000 and 20,000, contaminated sites. 13,000 and 20,000 contaminated sites. 3,500 to 5,200 of them are located in regions where the permafrost is still stable but will start to thaw before the end of the century or next week. But without more extensive data, these findings should be considered a rather conservative estimate. The true scale of the problem could be even greater. All right. Oh, thank you, Basil Peterson. I appreciate you. Got a super chat at the end of the show there. Basil says, forgot my monthly contribution. I appreciate that, Basil. Thank you. Right on. Oops, doing it again. No, I didn't do it again. Oops, I did it again. Who knows? Denver says 90 degrees in Chattanooga Valley today. 90 degrees? Is that something that happens often in April, Denver? Wow. Wow. That's pretty. Oh, you know what? Actually, that reminds me, before I go, that there was a post that I didn't. Did I show this yesterday? Let's see. Yeah, that goes along. That's in line with a post I thought I had handy about. I think I did show it. Well, it's still very wintry in the west and northwest, but there will be record temperatures in southern states. And so that lines up. That is wild, Denver. Jeez. That doesn't sound like that's a regular occurrence, right? I would imagine 90 degrees is a temperature that might be more summer oriented. Or maybe later in the spring or earlier in the summer, not in early April. 85 in Missouri yesterday. Wow. Yeah, I'd say that's kind of that's a little wonky, isn't it? Seems a little wonky. Let's see. I don't know. Did I show this one the other day, guys? From extreme temperatures around the world. Oh, well, thank you, Gene. Thank you. I appreciate that. I like the colors of the shirt, too. The East is about to live an exceptional heat wave. This is from a couple days ago, 2 days ago. Temperatures will be at record levels in a dozen states in the next 2 to 3 days. So I guess that would be record level. 90 degrees in Chattanooga would be kind of a record level, don't you think? In the meanwhile, Mexico rose to 45.3 C, 114 degrees, a new max in 2023. Oh, I don't know. There's no such thing as global warming? I don't know. Tell me more. Tell me more. We're only setting, temperature records for this time of year all over the planet. But tell me more about how global warming doesn't exist. I don't know. Explain it to me. Tim, very good. Even the air temperatures celebrate pride colors. That's right. It's Pride Week for national temperatures. Yeah, that's great. All right, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thanks for all the supporters, contributors to the show. And I will see you tomorrow at the regular time. Denver says that's right. It's too hot. And the UVs, I feel them cooking me when in the sunlight. Yeah, we got to watch those. Careful out there with the UVs. They do get hot. They do feel heaty. Freedom heat. There we go. Creative experiments. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all. I will see you tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And until next time, peace.